It's me back again in live demo mode, all ready for lesson 3 of the day. It's been a lot of recordings going on today. So what I have in the profile is a couple of examples. So you'll see on the right here it says example 1, and that is a full sort of run of show for a presentation, and there's 2 sets of examples in there. So I'm just going to run you through this first one so you can see the slides that are in there and the builds. So we start with a simple title slide, and then we can just go down the other different builds and let you see what's in there. So I've started off with a simple bullet build, and again I'm just using my hotkeys to bring in these bullets. The observant amongst you will notice, unlike lesson number 1 where I just brought in the text, that the orange dot is actually flying in as well this time on the build. So I will show you how I'm going to do that, or how I've done that, in a minute or two. But for the moment, let's just run down what's on the deck. And again, I'm just using the hotkeys here to advance everything. And I'm flying in that case, Jennifer plus a bit of text and an orange box. And this is me introducing my team on my slide deck. So next one, slightly different, but using the same backgrounds, and I'm just going to bring in my client examples, whoever they may happen to be. And you of course will want to change the graphics on this, so I will go and show you how to do that also. Next one, just a slightly different look and feel in terms of the squares etc on the screen. And of course you can either grab these and duplicate them and drop them into your scene, or you can in fact drag and drop multiple elements. So if you like multiple slides but not all of them, then what you can actually do is grab 3 or 4 at a time. And you may not be aware that you can do this, but if you drag those out onto your desktop, then you can grab them and bring them back in. So I might try doing that in a minute, he says, having not tried it on a live, but that's what this is all about. So some other slides which are in this example number 1. And as I say, you could take the whole lot, or you could just take 1 or 2, or you can take one and start making changes to it. Entirely up to you. So deployment as well, this one's a bit more fancy. If I press the right key. So this is a project timeline, and it's something that I have to deal with all the time. So here's me bringing in my phase 1, phase 2 and phase 3. And again, I'm going to say it again, there was no animations outside of Ecamm to do that. It's all just within Ecamm. And I might also have some simple screen shares as well. So here I've put a screen share in there for you, and of course you could go change the colour of the background, which is what I've done to match the blue edge around the background. I've also got a couple of transitions. In there. He says checking his microphone because it's muted during the transition. And I'll come back and show you how to add those in at a later point. But of course, if you're moving around on your deck and your image is changing place, you might want to use a transition as opposed to just a fade. So here we have got, in fact, let me go back to the previous one because I forgot to do the build. Here's the build. So this is a kind of a star rating thing going on, and we will come and show you again in a later edition how you could change the number of stars and how that might look as well. So I've got a couple of those, and this one's a kind of testimonial version where I'm bringing in some product information and then a testimonial from a client. And clearly you will see from the text that I got a bit bored of creating different text eventually. So it's just something a little bit different. So talking of which, I think this is about to go through another transition. And this is one of the final ones. This is one of the final ones that I have on the deck. and all this is doing is bringing in for me a sort of fake business card, which is something that I like to use because I know people have got their phone on them when they're watching these things. So if I want them to go to my YouTube channel or my LinkedIn profile or to sign up for an event or something like that, then I use QR codes quite a lot. So that's my pretend contact details plus the MacGyver Live site plus the YouTube channel. So that's the sort of thing where you can put in all your own information and your own logos and stuff like that. The pre-formatted slide is already there for you. So let's go have a look at one of the bullet point slides. So if I come back up to my agenda example 1 here, and I just want to show you how I've put that together and where you can make changes and how that all works. So let me zoom in on that one. In fact, I want to zoom in on the build. So within the build, and this is the same for all of the builds that I do, I've created a folder for build 1, build 2 and build 3. So it's very, very simple. In build 1, I have got the introductions to our team and my dot. Both of those are flying in from the left. We've seen that in lesson 1, how you can bring things to fly in. But what you do is, if you put them into a folder, you can then use this little link icon, and the link icon links items together in a folder, so that when I hit my hotkey over here, which is in my case the letter R, both those items come in at once. And it's the same principle for each time that I do any of these builds. So that's how I'm doing it and building things in. Let's have a look at something that where you might want to make a change, because there you won't want to make a change. You'll take the slide, just copy it into your show and run that slide. This one here, exactly the same principle. So I've got build 1, build 2, build 3, but this time I've got some images in there for Jennifer, Daniel and Sarah. So I might want to go change those images. So how do I do that? Well, for a start, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to duplicate that scene right in the middle here rather than drop it into my show, but I'm just going to duplicate it so that I don't mess it up. So the same scene here, I'm going to take each one of these team members and throw them in the bin, because that's what you're going to want to do anyway. So taking each of my team members and throwing them in the bin. Then what I want to do is I want to come to my library and I want to grab some shapes to drop into there. That is in the My Stuff folder. So I'm going to scroll down to the My Stuff folder, which is down here somewhere. And I've got a few odds and ends in there, and I'm going to cut and paste those into this scene that I'm playing about with. So here I've got some items. I'm just going to grab these, and I can either drag and drop them, or I can do Command C and Command V. So if I do Command C now, it's going to copy those items. I'm just going to scroll back up to the copy of introductions, which is where I was playing about. And if I now do Command V, they're going to come back in again. Now they've disappeared off the edge of the screen, some of them. But I can just go grab those and put them wherever I want to on my scene. So this is what you're going to do, because you're not going to want to use my images for your scenes. So each one of those doesn't have a fly-in at the moment. So I'm going to give them each a fly-in, except for I can't see what I'm doing now. So let me scroll back out again. So I'm going to give them a transition, and in this case it was fly-in from the bottom, fly-in from the bottom, and fly-in from the bottom. Now at the moment, if you look over to the right, and I'll zoom in again, hang on. These are the images that I have just dropped in. So I need to put those into my builds. So the file folder was in build 1, so I just put that into build 1. The camera's in build 2, I put that into build 2, and the headphones are in build 3, so I put that in build 3. And now if I zoom back out again, which I will do, That's me zoomed right back out again. When I do those builds, everything will disappear when I press the key, hopefully. And then I should be able to fly them back in again, because I've just positioned them within that build and linked them together. So the builds are all linked, they're there for you, and that's how easy it is to swap out whatever images I had in there with the images that you want in there. So now I did say I was going to try and copy a bunch of slides at once, didn't I? So let me go back onto this one, and I'm just going to grab this one and put it in the bin. So that's the one I've just been playing about with. And what I'm going to try and do is grab a bunch of these slides, and we'll see what happens here. So I don't want to, let's say I wanted these first few slides. I'm going to say all of those 4 slides. So I've selected 4 slides there, and the idea here is to click and drag those onto my desktop. Ecamm takes a second or two to think about it, and then an icon will pop up, or multiple icons in this particular case. And then rather than having to create them individually and sort of copy and paste them into my scene, then what I can do is take these as a group, drag them back onto my scene, and I can drop them in onto the scene. Actually, I've got to look for the little arrow on the right hand side. So you need to drag it all the way over to the right hand side till the little plus appears, and it's now brought those items back in at the bottom of my presentation deck. So I've got copied all of those slides effectively, and I can grab them and just drag them up to put them into my show. So suddenly in my show I have now got all of those different slides. So I haven't had to copy them one at a time. I've copied 4 at once just by taking them, dropping them off the edge of my scene, and I've noticed they've come back in a different order. So I still obviously need to play about with them to get them in the right order. So let me client examples, agenda, introductions. They're now in the right order. So here's my title slide, here's my agenda, introductions, and client examples. So that's how easy it is to sort of go grab stuff that's already pre-built and start building your deck. So what I really ought to do is come out of live demo mode, because I always forget to do that. So out of live demo mode, and then what I want to do is look for my end scene, which should be down here somewhere, and I'll go and do another video after I've had a cup of tea because my throat's getting a bit sore.